And we're following the latest in China, where the country is moving to allow President Xi Jinping to stay in power indefinitely. The ruling Communist Party announced Sunday that it will abolish presidential term limits.
This is a major shift in policy. Right now, a president can only serve 2 consecutive terms, which means a total of 10 years of service. So here to take us through the latest is CBSN contributor Alex Kliment. He writes for Signal, a newsletter produced by GZero Media. And I got to tell you, Alex, when I first heard about this, I couldn't wait for you guys to come, whether it's you or the other Signal people, because this is right up your alley. So it's a policy change that's been proposed. It's going to be voted on. It's probably going to pass. We've seen this sort of move with Vladimir Putin, with Erdogan in Turkey, these tweaks that allow these leaders to stay in their positions. How significant is this?
Well, look, since coming to power 5 years ago, President Xi Jinping has amassed more clout in China probably than any leader, probably since Mao, the founder of Communist China, right? And as you say, tradition says that presidents or party leaders step aside after 2 terms. This decision really clears the way for Xi Jinping to rule China for the next 10 years or more. And these are 10 very critical years for China. During this 10-year period, we'll understand the answers to 2 important questions. One, can China actually become the global superpower that President Xi Jinping himself says he wants it to be? And secondly, as China's middle class grows, can China continue to pull off this high-wire act of being a Leninist government with a market economy? Those are 2 big questions. President Xi may decide, hey, it's too much to leave to chance to other people, and I got to handle this myself. Maybe he's right.
And doesn't he already hold several other titles within the party that don't have term limits
military
anyways?
leader, chairman of the Communist Party,
right.
Which also is traditionally a 2-term limit. But last year at the party Congress, he pointedly declined to anoint a successor, which is what's traditionally done. So yeah, he's been laying the groundwork for this for a while.
Yeah, he's also general secretary. That has no term limits. But
right.
What's fascinating is he is at the height of his political power right now, but he has also launched an aggressive campaign to crush dissent, to get rid of anybody who is disloyal. He loves his party loyalty. He's setting up a system so that there is no one who can ultimately challenge him.
That's right. Look, the flip side of total power is total responsibility, right? If things start to go wrong in the economy, if things start to go wrong geopolitically, socially, there's one guy to blame, and the party will know that, and the people will know that. And if that happens, that can turn ugly fast. That's the gamble for him. I mean, I call it the Godfather principle, right? After the first 2 installments, the risk of things going terribly wrong rises exponentially.
Right.
We've all seen Godfather 3, and it's lousy. Anyway, sorry.
And you talked about the changes within China, but China has also been reaching out significantly, trying to expand its sphere of influence. I think, had talked about sort of the new Silk Road, if you will, that they're building, what's it called, the Belt and Road Initiative, right? Which is basically a road system all the way across to Europe.
Road, rail, ports, everything.
So presumably, if you have the same guy in charge indefinitely, that means there's consistency, and perhaps these expansive plans will not be thwarted. They will be able to, he'll be able to see them through the very end. But, what's the impact of having him there?
Well, look, I mean, if he's going to be in power for the next 10 years or more, what you see is what you get, right? Xi Jinping's priorities, his objectives, his idiosyncrasies, those will shape China's policy. So on the plus side, you know what's coming down the pike. And from his perspective, these plans, Belt and Road Initiative, making China an AI superpower, making China a superpower in its own right, these are long-term plans that, from his perspective, probably require one person at the helm, so you don't have to worry about whether those priorities will change in 5 years or not. What you see is what you get. Whether you like it or not is a different question.
Yeah. Right. They have a 100-year plan, effectively. Now they're sort of truncating the time in which they hope to be the economic superpower globally. But you look at, for example, the delegation that was sent to Washington to talk about what was going on. They are confronting trade tariffs faced by the United States. How does this jeopardize or compromise the relationship with the United States, or does it make China stronger in that capacity because he can technically act unilaterally?
I think, look, certainly the fact that Xi Jinping has so much power over the party apparatus, over the economic resources in China, certainly gives him a lot more wind at his back to pursue his objectives, right? He doesn't have to worry about fighting with Congress or fighting with the courts or fighting with the media. He doesn't have to deal with these problems, right? So there is actually, he has much more ability to push forward an agenda. The question of U.S.-China relations, I think that you asked, is an excellent one, because we're starting to see a kind of fraying of ties between Washington and Beijing, right? There was a period where Trump looked like he was trying to work with China together to kind of bring about a solution to the North Korean nuclear crisis. That hasn't happened, and you're starting to see those underlying trade tensions emerge. Remember, Trump campaigned on a very, very harsh message for China. His top China advisor has written a book called Death by China. So if that's any indication of where policy is likely to go, that's something that President Xi Jinping will also have to contend with.
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was North Korea, and I thought, geez, you know, all Xi Jinping has to do is just wait it out. I mean, if he's going to be there forever, President Trump isn't, you know, why bother negotiating with the president? But
he may also be wondering, though, if Trump will be around until 2024, right. In which case the U.S. relationship is fraught for a much longer period of time. We don't know what's going to happen in 2020.